Welcome back to the Great Give Radiothon of 2019
Thank you.
on WNHH FM, your home for community radio. I'm Paul Bass. We're spending today and tomorrow all day helping out with the annual Great Give in New Haven, where 406 nonprofit organizations are teaming up to raise money through one platform on the web. So you can choose among 406 great groups that keep our community vibrant. And then they compete, friendly competition for prizes. And we're looking to top last year's record $1.75 million for all the groups that keep us strong. So every half hour, we're bringing in a different group. Someone who does great work in town to sing a song, recite a poem, then tell us why you want to consider giving them some money. So we got Helen Cowder, right, one of New Haven's great cultural heroes, in the studio this half hour from Artspace. Helen, welcome to WNHH.
Thanks for having us.
It's great to see you as always. Now, you've done 2 shifts running Artspace, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of made it into such a big institution in town with great community, great communal ideas, creative ideas to press a cultural question and get everyone together, whether it's the Coliseum coming down and memories overnight to the Columbine shootings where people decorated backpacks and you have kids do it. You look at public spaces through the open studios every October. So how's it going?
Really
I'm going to get real close to the mic.
It's going great, Paul. Thank you.
How many years? So how many years has it been that you've been there?
Well, it's I'm coming on my 10 years as in a second tour of duty, and I was there 8 years before. So
wow, that's a lot of time.
So a lot of time.
And we're going to talk a little bit about how it's grown over that time, how it's developed. But first, getting closer to the mic, I'm going to ask you to recite a poem or sing a song.
Well, I'm going to read a poem.
Okay.
And this is a poem that is very connected to the project that I'm going to be speaking about.
Awesome. And what's the difference between reading a poem and reciting a poem?
Well,
lowering the bar?
I think reciting is reciting from memory.
Oh.
So I think a poem, whether it's read or recited, is about the words and the breath. So I think the experience for the listener is similar. But since I found out I was going to be on the show yesterday, I didn't have time to bring it into my memory.
And again, I still need to get close to the mic. Like you're almost touching it with your lips.
This is a poem by Emily Hunt.
Okay.
And it's from a collection called Company. At the top of a hill each morning, I wait for the bus by the donut store. Its pink sign looks hot, curls like a rope, a stem to a brain. You turn toward a jade at the height of your neighborhood, stop at a light in its gut. The sun starts to seep up, reaching all grasses and grooves of the city. A white bus with black windows passes. A few minutes later, the city bus arrives like a room. It crawls, warm and dull, to the west edge, breathing its heat, a few baby hands warming wide glass. The billboard at my stop displays a large number to call. A man walks his sniffing dog below it, sharp legs brushing wild onion. At the base of the hill, I enter my code, push the gray gate open, allow the worn loop of my bag down my arm, walk to my station. I drop the metal end of a hose into a bucket, turn the tough faucet. Traveling after the sound, the cold rushes out, full force from the rubber, breaking into itself, interrupting and filling the round plastic space. Hungry, I pick up the water. That was a poem by Emily Hunt from a collection called Company.
And Helen Cowder is reading that. Helen Cowder runs Artspace, and we're doing the Great Give Radiothon, WNHH FM. Go to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget the. This half hour, we're asking you to consider giving some money to Artspace as part of our annual communal fundraising drive. So why don't you pick that Emily Hunt poem?
So that poem makes me think a lot about the work that we're going to be doing this summer through our summer apprenticeship program, which is in its 19th year. We've been doing this for 19 years. We bring together teens from New Haven Public Schools to immerse themselves really deeply into a creative project, working under the wings of a well-known, established, or rising, but really esteemed artist. And this year, the students are going to be working in the medium of filmmaking, motion picture making. and they're going to be
So it's not
working.
really film anymore, right? It's video.
It's not video actually. It's going to be 16 millimeter old
Oh, how
school film,
interesting.
and that's what I want to talk about today.
Okay.
And so it is really trying to reconnect with the origins of movie making. And the earliest form, one of the earliest forms of filmmaking was something called a city symphony. A city symphony it follows the life of a city over a 24-hour period, from morning till night, from sunrise to sunset. And in its earliest versions in 1920, so we're approaching the 100th anniversary of the City Symphony, and there's been a lot of conversation about that. It's really about the montage of images. This is black and white, silent, but that tries to focus on aspects of the city that revolve around labor, things that are kinetic, things that involve energy and movement. So it's quite abstract. And what we're going to do this summer is students are going to get 16 millimeter cameras. And each student, we're going to have 24 kids, each student will be responsible to tell the story of New Haven during 1 hour of the day. So your hour might be 2 a.m. You'll have the camera at 2 a.m.
Because you said the original was just daylight hours.
No, it goes from dark.
In the 1920s.
Yeah, in the 1920s.
From dark. Sundown to sundown. Okay.
From darkness to light to darkness again.
And Jackie Denby's weighing in, checking to say hello. Jackie, thanks for listening to The Great Kid.
So a city symphony is really a kind of poetic homage to a city. And we're inviting young people to make that about New Haven.
This sounds fun.
And about their New Haven. And so I'm also here to invite all the listeners to think about a young person in a New Haven public school who might really enjoy getting behind a camera, telling the story of their neighborhood or the part of New Haven that they are excited about or that they want to learn about.
And then you plan this in advance and hope it doesn't rain.
Well,
if it rains, it rains. Get an umbrella.
It rains, it rains. I think it's about, and the reason why I chose this poem was that it's one person's view of their route on the bus and their trip to work, and all those realities.
We used to do that the independent early years. We used to do 24 hours in New Haven, and just every hour something happened to somebody doing something on the city. Yeah.
In the early versions of the City Symphonies, it was very much focused on workers and the movement of the workers in factories. So if you think about early Studs Terkel, it's that kind of an ethos. But just to finish up why it's going to be exciting, each student will then get to edit their hour down to a minute. It'll be boiled down. And so the final product is a 24-minute short film, which is going to be screened to live music and text, spoken word, poetry. So we want young people to come out, whether they are the musicians, the composers, the poets, or the filmmakers and the editors. We want all those students. Those students will all come together. They're going to be working with a group called Echo Park Film Center. They're a really famous, progressive grassroots film organization based in Los Angeles. And this project is called The Sounds We See. And they've gone all around the world doing this project, working with communities that are not necessarily represented in filmmaking behind the camera. One of the things that's really exciting that they do is that they're very into something called eco-processing. So they process the film, a 16 millimeter film, in a medium that relates to the place. So when they were in Uruguay, they developed the film in coffee. You need something acidic. Here in New Haven, we are going to develop it in seaweed. Again, seaweed or oysters, some acidic medium that's defined, that's local.
You always blow my mind, Helen Cowder. Every idea you come up with is so creative and original and fun and has standards. So you get so many people from all walks of life, New Haven, involved in connecting to their community and helping us see how we live through culture. And you also have standards, so the kind of discipline that it takes to plan all this in advance, get people out, then narrow it down to a minute each to produce a 24-minute tightly edited product. That's just great what you do. I'm so pleased Artspace is here. I remember when we used to have the original discussions about Artspace. It's when New Haven was subsidizing the reconstruction of the Schubert Theater in the early 80s. And everyone said, what about local artists? Give a tax break to this theater. And originally they were going to have a black box theater in the theater itself. Then they were going to buy Larico Towers around the corner. And instead it became an artist-run organization. And I guess if I remember correctly, it's really when you took the reins that it got established at the corner of Orange and Crown Street, and became that thought big in how it approached art and culture and connecting community through local art, rather than thinking of it as a black box theater.
Actually, we were nomadic for about 4 years.
Okay.
Between the time that Artspace left Audubon Street on the ground floor of the Community Foundation building, and when it reemerged on the ground floor at the Chamberlain building. For 4 years, we were in 11 different empty storefronts. The longest one was in the space under what was then Cafe Adulis on College Street, in the basement of under Cafe Adulis.
Must have smelled good.
Well, Cafe Adulis was a wonderful neighbor to have. They would, organize wonderful platters for us for our openings.
That's nice.
But we were also we're Book Trader. We for a while were in the space that's Book Trader before it became Book Trader.
Wow.
We were in a space on Sherman's Alley in one of the hair salons. So we were in many.
But now
places.
you really established at Chamberlain Street, building.
We hope so. We are in negotiations with the new owners of 9 Square. We are facing a rent increase.
But they must understand what a anchor you are.
We hope so. We're about to find out. But one
luck.
of the things that we, in terms of the great givers who are your listeners and who we hope will support us, what I would like to share is that, first of all, we have this amazing space. We turn it over to young people for the summer. It is really their space. The show that will be there, that will house the City Symphony, the New Haven City Symphony, will be put together by them. And yes, we cover not only the space, the rent, but we also pay the students. So the students come to us, knowing that, yes, they're going to learn some things. Yes, there's, tremendous connections that they make to artists and to the wider world, and they meet each other from other schools.
Is it hard to get picked? Is it competitive?
We usually get about twice the number of students.
And how do you decide
spots? Well, it's not easy, and a group of us, including the visiting artist, get together and we read all the applications. The students who apply tell us a little bit about why they are interested in.
That helps to have it be double, because you got to get motivated kids.
Totally. But we also look for, real important connections. So, for example, the year that when Titus Kafar did his project at Artspace, which was a project that really looked at the criminal justice system and racial bias in the criminal justice system, we really leaned toward those students who had a family member who had some involvement with the courts, or maybe it was, in one case, the child of a parole officer. I think we look for connections that way. One year we had a student where the teacher's recommendation was like, this student is trouble, and we felt like if art can't help a student who is facing challenges in school,
so what happened
then
with
nothing
the student?
can. Well, it was an amazing transformation. First couple of days were really rough. We actually had some violent things happening outside with some gangs, meeting each other outside of Artspace. But we supported that student a lot with our mentors, some of whom have had similar experiences, have grown up in similar, school environments. That happened to be the summer when the Philando Castile and Alton Sterling were shot, and the students really felt the need for a safe space, and so the incredible mentoring and support that happened at Artspace during this summer, the emotional support, social and emotional support, is key. And so this particular student who I was mentioning to you, at the end of it, was so happy. She felt like she had been transformed. She made friends. She really, just in 3 intensive weeks, we saw the transformation into a young woman who had some confidence.
And what was any kind of long-term
who was
impact?
Beautiful, yes, who came back the year after. She wasn't in the program, but she came to the opening She felt connected, and that is what
It is.
this.
That's one great thing about growing up in New Haven. Just from watching my kids, you get connected to communities and interesting people who care. You feel like there's something distinctively New Haven about it, where you matter. You're part of something, and you can come back to.
Absolutely. New Haven has that, the scale of New Haven, and I think our location downtown is for everybody, and we try to make Artspace a place, and in the programming that we do, we try to have something for everyone.
And so there you hear it, Artspace. We're doing the Great Give Radiothon here. There's a 2-day Wednesday and Thursday effort that we do every year for hundreds. This year, 406 not-for-profit organizations in New Haven join together and have a friendly competition where we ask people to go online, donate money to all the good groups you can. There'll be prize money, matching money, and right now you're hearing from Helen Cowder at Artspace about what a great use of your donated dollar it will be if you go right now to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget the word thegreatgive.org. Go right to Artspace. You can look up any organization you want. You can donate money right now. There's a good hour to do it. Helen Catter, how do you keep it fresh? Like I talked to you when you always have these great ideas for what kind of culture could happen in New Haven, great ideas of how to connect people from all walks of life so that it's meaningful to them and meaningful to the community at large. You're able to find money for it, which must be exhausting. And you had 2 stints, you said 9 years, now 10 years. How do you still get up in the morning and do it and find the energy and the freshness of mind to come up with new ideas and do all the little details you need to attend to make them happen?
So I have to thank my colleagues. I work with an incredible team of people at Artspace. The chief creative visionary at Artspace is Sarah Fritchie, and she has the pulse on what artists are thinking about, their yearnings, the movements, the conversations. We have our staff meeting every Wednesday, and she comes in with things that have been said in the studios and the sideline conversations.
Do you think of it as a form of art to have an idea to create a project, find the dollars, find the people who can pull it off, and follow through on it? I mean, that's sort of like doing a painting.
Absolutely. I kid when people said, "Oh, what's your art form?" And I said, budgets. I do budgets, but I do.
But
more
not
than
just budgets. But budget's part of it.
But it is,
and
the
it's
visioning.
Grueling. The budget part is grueling.
It is. But you're right, Paul. I think of what Artspace does in creating opportunities and executing them and creating experiences for people.
Mm-hmm.
People who come and participate. We're kind of organizing and presenting and curating those experiences. That is an art form in and of itself. But just to finish what I was saying in terms of how to keep it fresh, Artspace, New Haven has an extraordinary artistic community, very large number of artists, and many artists who come through. Some stay, some don't. Some have been here for many, many years, and they are also the source of tremendous.
So you tap into something real that's here, a well of artistic energy.
So we do a lot with open calls. We put a theme out there for open studios, for example. Last year, 1 year we had something relating to games, another year we had something relating to sound. This year our project relates to older but younger. And open studios, we're going to be tapping into the questions about longevity, about aging, about
great
ageism.
Questions now. And also, yeah, right, kind of 87-year-old be in his second term as president and still be effective and run the world.
Well, some of the 80-year-old artists, Robert Motherwell, Louise Nevelson, were at the peak of their creative moments when they were old.
And we all have to rethink what older golden years look like, because we're going to be more active longer, a lot of us.
Exactly. So we've gotten many proposals from artists. I'll mention one. We haven't yet decided what we're assembling a committee to pick them. But for example, one of the proposals that came from 2 veterans. One was an Iraqi war vet, and one was a Vietnam vet. So you can imagine at opposite ends of the spectrum, they're both artists, and they want to work together on a project. And that is so exciting for us to, from the community, receive, I'm assuming this is a proposal that will,
Can't lose.
be well received. But we want to now back that project, find the funds to support it, and think about how it can have impact
And where are you
in
going
the
to do Open
community.
Studios this year?
So our alternative space is back in Yale West Campus, the old Bayer Pharmaceutical, now Yale West Campus building that is connected to the nursing school by a walkway. So, an area where there is quite a bit of thinking about our health. And then we'll be at Rector Square, we'll be in Westville.
That's right. You
we'll
do 4 weeks, right?
Yes, 4 weeks. Well, it's three weekends, but it's spread out over 4 weeks.
All right. Helen Cowder, I'm so glad that you're here and Artspace is here. It's one of the reasons I love to be in New Haven. You make us so much richer. So today, everyone listening and beyond will help make Artspace a little richer.
Thanks.
By donating to The Great Give. Folks, thegreatgive.org. Head there, please, in this hour. Consider giving some money to Artspace as part of the 2019 Great Give Radiothon. We're visiting with folks all day who are pitching their organizations. Let us know about the good work they do. We're going to hit you back at the top of the hour with Kellyanne Day from New Reach, who's up to some really interesting work with the New Haven Hospital, some fairly funded new research and work with homeless women. So sit tight, listen to the Afro-Semitic Experience performing I'm on my way to Canaan Land, and we'll be back on our way at the Radiothon at the top of the hour.